To All the Boys 3, Always and Forever is so green? Alright, this is pretty weird. I mean, before we even get started with talking about the actual things in the movie, I just need to get this off my chest real quick. I have no idea why it has to be so green, like, why? Thematically, green has no significance, I think, and visually it's just so jarring, and it's just a weird creative choice, really. I mean, they're probably talking about something important in the scene, but I couldn't really pay attention because the lighting and coloring was just so ugly. Alright, that being said, let's talk about the movie. And oops, spoilers ahead if you haven't seen it. If you saw the trailer, you're probably fine though, because the trailer is literally the entire movie in just 3 minutes. It's a really bad trailer. Alright, again, here we go. So, To All the Boys 3 picks up where the other movie left off. Sort of. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, I have only seen the other 2 movies one time each, both when they came out, so it's been a minute. The details are fuzzy at best. Anyways, there's been 2 different versions of John Ambrose, and they're both gone now. The latest one wasn't mentioned in this movie at all. He went off to dance with Sabrina Carpenter, so I think he's doing quite well for himself. Basically, where we're at is that Peter and Lara Jean are together. Lara Jean is reconnecting with her sisters and her family, and her dad's getting married again. The movie opens with Lara Jean and her family visiting South Korea, and we're presented with one of the main issues and conflicts of the movie, the biggest supervillains of romance movies, the long distance. We see Lara Jean FaceTiming with Peter, and they're both already missing each other like crazy, buying gifts and making welcome home posters. It's swiftly revealed that LJ was in Korea during spring break, which is usually about 1 week long, I think.
Hey, I heard you went to Korea for spring break.
With this in mind, seeing how much fuss was made about them not seeing each other for an entire dreaded week. Sorry, with everything they were doing, I thought they were away for the entire summer, and it was just a week? Ugh. Well, long distance is definitely going to be an important thing in this movie, and it's not going great so far. The trip to South Korea also has this good scene where the family looks for an old lock that their mother put on the bridge. The entire plotline with Lara feeling out of place could be potentially very interesting, except that it really doesn't go anywhere. This movie is about the relationship between Lara Jean and Peter, which is cute and all, but I feel like the potential of this other storyline was compelling too, especially when Jen pointed out that LJ always wanted to go there.
That's awesome. I know you always wanted to go. Thanks, it was.
I wish we had a little bit more of Lara being in Korea and not thinking about Peter, and to see that she actually wanted to be there and not having it told to us in dialogue, but that would be pretty nice. So LJ comes home after sharing some cute scenes with her sisters, which I thought was great to see. I love when teenage movies also focuses on familiar and platonic relationships. We'll get back to this a little bit later, and we're introduced to the actual plot of the movie. LJ and Peter are planning to go to Stanford University together after graduating. Peter is already in on a sporting scholarship, and LJ's only waiting for her application status to say accepted. With the happy-go-lucky beginning of the movie, we all know where this is headed. You'd also know this if you saw the ridiculous trailer. I hadn't seen any trailers, which was great. For me. Anyways, unlike the other movies in the Netflix cinematic universe, looking at you, kissing booth, LJ doesn't get into the school that she wants. At first, at least. She doesn't tell Peter instantly, which is unfair to him. That being said, he should learn to read the room. It seems like these, when they're trying to sell that these 2 people care so much about each other, that really doesn't work, because something is obviously wrong, and if you knew this person, or basic body language, you would be able to tell. She does end up telling him, eventually, after getting into Berkeley. This way they'll only be an hour apart or so, which is manageable and could be so much worse. Problem is, during a class trip to New York, LJ falls in love with the city, which is probably the most relatable thing this movie has going for it. Speaking for myself, that is. I went to New York a few years ago and wow, it's quite incredible, so I don't blame her for a second. I'm going to sidetrack for just a quick minute here because it was during this entire sequence of Lara Jean falling for New York that I thought that this movie might go in a completely different direction. There's this one scene, this one here, where Lara was listening to the music, but I was so confused by the framing and focus of these shots. For a second I thought they were going towards a To All the Boys, P.S. I don't swing that way twist reveal, if you know what I mean. Turns out she was just listening to the song, sadly. Lara Jean falls for New York, but it's a non-issue for her because she didn't get in and she's going to go to Berkeley anyway. Except, she didn't check, and everyone and their mom and their dog knows that she probably got in. And it's not hard for anyone to predict that in a few scenes from now, the sister will enter the stage and tell her as much. So here it is, Lara Jean has to choose, going to Berkeley to stay close to Peter, or moving to New York, going to NYU, take a great writing program and have campus on Manhattan. Personally, it's not a difficult choice at all, but I have never been in a committed relationship, so who am I to speak, really? I do have compassion though, and I get why this is so hard for her. She loves Peter, and she doesn't want to hurt him. In the final act of the movie, Lara reveals that she wants to go to New York, and Peter is understandably hurt. Speaking of Peter, there's also this weird subplot going on with him and his dad, which I couldn't remember from any of the other movies. As I said, I only saw them both once when they came out. What I did see though was Hill House, and this guy is the dad from that show, and it was all I could think about.
I'm trying to fix that.
I can fix this. I can fix it.
The storyline is basically used so Peter could say that he wants to feel chosen and to guilt trip Lara. A father leaving his kid versus your girlfriend leaving to go to the college of her dreams, that's two wildly different things, so this doesn't really do the job for me. I honestly thought Peter was a kind and loving boyfriend for the most part in this movie, except being super oblivious that one time. The boombox reference was really nice. We love when people pay attention to your favorite part in movies, right?
And it's my turn tonight, and we are doing Say Anything. There's this great scene with John Cusack, and he sits underneath the window, and he holds up a boombox. Okay, that's awesome. We get it.
He was doing as well as I would expect him to, being a young hurt teenager, up to the point where he was leaving Lara on prom night. This which is a terrible and horrible and rude thing to say. Lara's biggest mistake in the movie was not following her dreams, which I think was the absolute right thing to do, but her flaw lies within not telling Peter, though I get why she didn't want to at first, saying it does make it real, and taking all of the sorrows in advance. Her stepmom tells her this quite early in the movie too. Don't miss out on your senior year because you only think about what comes after it. This is an important lesson which we all could use to be reminded of sometimes. Maybe Lara wasn't listening because she was wearing Bose noise-cancelling headphones. I think this problem applies to both Lara and Peter. Peter especially after Lara tells him she's decided on NYU. He gives Lara distance in advance, convinced that Lara chose said distance, and thus throwing away precious time together. On the other side of the coin, Lara should be enjoying prom, not sitting by herself, waiting for the day her and Peter will part ways. The inevitable day is coming, but it's not there yet. If you love someone, you shouldn't be giving up, especially not before the fight has even started. The movie ends with Lara Jean going to New York and moving into an apartment very much like the one Judy Hopps has in Zootopia, and Peter goes to Stanford with a promise that they will try to be together forever and always. It's a hopeful ending, and the implication is that, if it's meant to be, they will be together in the end, even if that end is years down the line. Honestly, I thought this movie was surprisingly good, and as I was watching it, it felt like it was dealing with more adult themes. Overall, it just felt a bit more serious than the previous ones. Maybe it is because any mention of the future and big life choices makes me shudder to my core. I like how the main character makes the best choice for herself in the end, and that sometimes you have to grow apart to grow together. I like how she doesn't get into the college she wants, even if she does get a better option later in Netflix. Speaking of which, what I don't like is how these Netflix movies sets these unrealistic college expectations. We all know that college is extremely competitive, and I just wish for once that we actually could see the characters get into the schools that they want to as the results of the fruits of their labor, if you will. I wish these movies and series would stop pretending that schoolwork doesn't exist when it's what teenagers do, especially if they want to get into Ivy Leagues and schools like NYU. This is what they do like 90% of their week. We could still have characters bonding, still have friendship scenes, just instead of something happening at home, it could just be friends hanging out in the library, messing around while revising. This doesn't need to happen all the time, but let's not pretend that it doesn't exist. It's insulting to everyone who's ever worked their asses off and still get rejected to see these characters getting wherever they want with no effort whatsoever. Even if it isn't close to being a realistic perception of reality, I think a lot of people can relate to the scene of Lara scrolling sadly through college admission videos, and yeah, that was quite heartbreaking. I liked how the movie gave some time to sister bonding and to friendship. I think the few scenes she had in New York with the other girls proves the importance of having relationships outside of your romantic relationship. I'm a huge advocate for the power of platonic friendship and that they shouldn't be easily disregarded for romantic ones. I enjoyed these scenes a lot, and I hope to see more of the bonding between Lara and people other than Peter. We got some of it, at least. I like to see the dad being remarried again with a lady who's the entire opposite of the evil step-lady trope. There's still hope for love down the line, and just because things may be hard when you're 17 and about to go to college, it's not the end, it's just the beginning. I like that Kitty got to wear sneakers because it's a great representation for those of us who want to actually dance without breaking our ankles in heels. I liked how they were trying to have a low-key wedding, but left all the lights up at night. They should probably turn it off and save on the power bill, like New York isn't cheap, lady. Anyways, these were just some thoughts on the movie. I thought it was pretty good. I think the actors of Lara, especially Lana Condor, did a great job with the more emotional scenes. I think, with a few glaring exceptions, this take on the entire choosing a college story trope is more mature and a better take on it than whatever it is Netflix is trying to do with the kissing booth. The third movie isn't out there yet, but judging by the fact that the main protagonist conjured 2 acceptance letters out of her ass from Harvard and Berkeley through the sheer power of imagination alone in the end, I don't really see how we could surpass this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.